My family were Jewish. And I always say part of the reason why my husband and I work together, because we're so different, is that we're like New York City Jews. You know, I'm very much come from a Jewish culture, but neither of us are a religion, you know. But I always did the traditions with my kids. And my kids, if you ask them or even ask me about telling them the stories, they won't know what they are or what it is. But I believe in the community of any religion or of any culture. It's like that's important. So in that sense, I relate to the culture. But as far as religion goes, no. And then when I started to, um, and then when I would trying to think about my kids being bar mitzvahed and think of what they had to read, and I would read all this stuff. It was so fear-based, or Passover, which I would have every year, like that God would have you kill your firstborn. That even that's a test, metaphor or not my thing. Just not my thing. So no, I am not religious at all. But yes, I can relate to the Jewish culture, and I respect the tribe of the survival of the Jewish people, and not even talking about what's going on now. That's a whole nother story. Um, but I think because my brother died when I was so young, and I've had to deal with death so much in my life, and by nature, I am a seeker. I am a seeker. I have tried all kinds of weird stuff through the years. I mean, in my 20s, I remember I used to go to hear Marianne Williamson way before she was famous. She was into the Course in Miracles. Somebody gave me the Course in Miracles when I was dancing with Louis Falco. I was probably 23 years old, which I was not ready for those big books or doing it, but I had them. And I did like all kinds of different kinds of meditation. I took a macrobiotic class. I've been a vegetarian pretty much my all of my adult life, although now I eat fish, but I've been vegan, I've been raw, I've been all that stuff. And I meditated on and off. But I'm one thing if you look at the word consistent, although I'm consistent about some things, a lot of things in me, you're not going to find Lisa Nalven. I definitely have that ADD gene. So I skip around. But I've always looked into near-death experiences. I've talked about them. I've read books about them. I've done lots of different kinds of meditation, lots of different kinds. And I always keep going back. And as that I'm turning 71 and having dealt with death so much, um, and I just helped my girlfriend die, I'm really trying to, and just going through a lot of changes as you get older, that I really believe that it's important to find, just makes life easier, you know. Although I am part of a community. Anyway, so I was feeling all this um, stuff that was going on in my body, and I actually went to a meditation retreat for a week. I'm 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 not even sure that I want to mention the name, even though he's very famous. And I got back into meditation. And I've been doing a lot more meditation lately. But I definitely believe, and I'm reading a lot about quantum physics, and I read a lot about the field, the field of possibilities. And I've read books by, from Joe Dispenza, Lynn McTaggart. I read about Einstein and all the quantum physics and all that wacky stuff that we believed in, or what the belief, you know, quantum physics has been quantifying a lot of that. It's just when you get down to the minute level, things aren't the way they appear. And I say I believe in reincarnation, but I wouldn't bet my life on it, but I believe in something. And you know what? It may all be bullshit, but I don't care because I tend to believe. And I certainly have had experiences that are, um, you know, remarkable. And I want to have more of them. I did a little bit of ayahuasca. I want to do some more. Wasn't enough. I want to thin my veil. I wish I had, although not everyone I know that has like the ability to have, to maybe hallucinating or not, talking to spirits or whatever. Um, I wish that I had that thinner veil, and I would like to thin it. Is it your imagination? I don't know. But I think that, especially as you get older or you see what's going on in the world, to believe in something greater than yourself. And plus, I've been in a lot of 12-step programs also, and came to believe that I believe in a power greater than yourself. especially when you see like the magnificence of nature and all the things that are just so incredible. Do I believe a man with a beard made it all? No, but I believe in the order of things. Do I believe in a field of possibilities? And you read the stuff I read, like I try to understand stuff in popular mechanics, and occasionally I'll read something about, multiverses. There's a lot of stuff that's pretty wiggy out there that is, and there's spirituality in it. So I believe in that. And I just feel like at this point in my life, to try to handle my paranoia and my disillusionment about what's going on in the world, that I need that. And I need to be able to be sad and be joyful at the same time. I think I can't focus all on negative, and so much of the world is negative, and so many people are so stuck in that, and I can do that, and I just don't want to squander the rest of my life. I want to feel joyful. I want to be with people that are lifting people up and have, a sense that this isn't all there is. And maybe this is life school. I certainly hope so. Is it, like I said, I don't know. But I have found that in this last, especially in the last year or two, and it has made me more focused. It has made me more joyful, less, I am like a serious person. So, and I have to, you know, feeling good is a practice. Meditation is a practice. Everything is a practice. Um, and you have to want to do it. I will never forget, and I've mentioned this a million times. When I was at the Graham School, when I was young, maybe 12, and there was Bertram Ross, who was like one of the original Graham Company dancers. I mean, he's got to be dead for a million years already. And I remember he said, how do you turn? And everybody said, get on your standing leg or pull your shoulder back, or well, all the million things that we do, lift up in your core. He said, no, the first thing you have to do is want to turn. And there was one other thing that I've said a million times is that at one point when I was going through one of my changes, this is years ago, and I had given up all drugs and alcohol, and I was refining myself after this very negative relationship that I'd come out of, that I chose to stay in, that I took responsibility. It wasn't his fault that he was abusive. I chose to be with this man. And I was dating a guy, but he was better. He wasn't really drinking, and he only snorted a little heroin. And I remember saying to somebody, I can't see him. We're not on the same spiritual path. And they said to me, well, how do you know he's not on a higher spiritual path than you? And that's how I feel. You know, maybe, maybe some of the people that I can't stand that are running the government and doing all this shit, maybe they're on a higher spiritual path that I don't understand. Father Gregory Boyle, who I have been to see, who started Homeboy Industry. I have photographed there. If you don't know who he is, you should look him up. He's unbelievable. And he wrote a book called Tattoos on the Heart, which is first book I read of his. And he talks about God in a way that I have never heard anybody speak about God in the most loving, beautiful, that we're all child of God, and that there is no thing as sin, and that we're all born of the light. You know, we are all one and the same, like you said, Bob Ram Dass, Course in Miracles. Every spiritual teacher says it's the illusion of separateness. We are all connected. We're like mycelium. We're like mushrooms. We're connected, and we're connected to something bigger. So is it hallucinating? I don't know. I'm okay with that.